good Wednesday evening. Since it is September 11th, I have some patriotic notes for you today. And we talked a little bit about this in class. It's important that we not ever forget that day, even if you don't remember because you weren't alive. But I want you to do me a favor tonight, and after you're done with these notes, talk to your parents and ask them what they were doing when September 11th happened and what they remember about it. I think that's the only way we're going to keep the memory of those that were lost and the pride in our country alive, is if we pass down those stories of patriotism and the things that people have done to stand up for our freedoms that we all enjoy today. So one of those freedoms is a freedom of education. So we are going to get our freedom of education on tonight, and we are going to head into part 3 of our lessons on solving equations. And we did the 1-step, we did the 2-step, and now we're going to do the multi-step. All right, so let's just jump right in. The first thing you need to know is I'm going to give you some rules tonight, because there's going to be some steps. We've already done a few of them. Like, we already know we're going to add and subtract first. We do PEMDAS backwards. We already know we're going to divide and multiply off things before we get our x by itself. But tonight I'm going to share with you a few other things. The first thing that you always need to look for is combining like terms. Do this first. Okay, so here's an example. You have 2x plus 4x, and then it's like minus 3 equals 20. When I say combine like terms, look on the sides of the equal sign. Are there anything that you can combine first before you start subtracting or adding that will get you some things out of the way, some steps out of the way really simply? So yes, right here we have a 2x and a 4x. Those are both in the variable families. They're the same variable. So we're going to add those together. When you add a 2x and a 4x, you get 6x. So now we could rewrite this expression to be 6x minus 3 equals 20. Okay? That's what we mean by combining like terms. Sometimes it might be that there's a number, like this one could say 20 plus 7 over here. Well, if we have two like terms over here that are numbers, we're going to combine those as well. So we also would combine 20 and 7. We would make that a 27. Just add those together before you start moving things over. So now, instead of 20, this would be a 27. So this would be your equation that you now have left. All right? And then your next step is just like we did yesterday. Add or subtract number attached. Oops, that does not have a T in it. Sorry, guys. The number that's attached to the variable. So you do that first. Okay, so let's do that in our example here. That would be, we would take 6x minus 3 equals 27. That's what we had here. And we are going to add or subtract off the number that's attached to the variable. So this number right here is what I'm talking about. You have some subtraction that's attached to the variable over here that we need to add or subtract off depending on what is happening in the equation. Well, right here we have some subtraction, so we're going to add 3 to both sides. If we want to draw our line, we can. That's going to give us 0 over here, which is super. We are just going to have 6x still equals 30. That's what I mean by add and subtract. And our last step is to divide or multiply. Divide or multiply the number off of variable. Okay? And remember, it has to be done to both sides. So here in our equation that we started with, we have 6x equals 30. That's what we have left. So we have multiplication, that's putting the 6 on the x. We're going to divide that off to get that 6 off of the x. So our x can be by itself. And when we do that, this is left with just a 1x, which is what we want. And over here we get 5. 30 divided by 6 is 5. So our answer is 5. We could take this answer, plug it into our original equation up here, and it would check out. All right? So those are the steps for solving multi-step. Now, what might happen though is that you might, what you're going to see though is that you're going to need to be combining those like terms. You're going to be looking for that first. So sometimes people might call that simplifying. So if you ever see simplify, then solve, that's what they're talking about. Combining those like terms. All right? So let me give you some examples. Let's do a few examples. And this is just part A of our solving multi-step equations video. We have negative 3x plus 2x equals 16. I'm going to go ahead and draw my line here at the equal sign just to separate the sides here. And we look at number 1, which tells us combine our like terms first. Do you see any like terms here that we can combine? Yes. Yes, that's what I heard. Okay, good. So we have some like terms. We are going to combine these. I hope you saw that. The negative 3x and the 2x. We're going to add those together. When we add a negative 3x and a 2x, we have two different signs. Remember our addition signs. Same signs, add and keep. Different signs, subtract. So over here, we're going to subtract 3x minus 2x. You just get a 1x. The sign of the larger number is that 3, so it's going to be a negative 1x. I know we could just say negative x, but for this right now, I just want so you see that what that is. We're going to, with a negative on it, we're going to just keep it as a negative 1x. And now we have negative 1x equals 16. So there's nothing that is added or subtracted to the variable anymore. So we're going to skip step 2. We're going to head straight into step 3. Divide or multiply the number off of the variable. So we have a negative 1 attached to the variable with multiplication. So we're going to divide each side by a negative 1. That gets that off there. And now you're left with x equals negative 16 at your answer. Let's do another one. Let's do 3x plus 2 plus 7 equals 18. Okay, so here we have some like terms. I hope you see them. They're right here. We have some numbers we can combine. And you can't combine it with the 18 yet because the 18 is on the other side of the equal sign. Only what's on one side of the equal sign. So we have some numbers. We don't have any more x terms, just that one, so we don't have to combine it with anything. But we do have two numbers here. So we're going to add those together. And now we have 3x plus 9, because 2 plus 7 is 9, equals 18. So now we can go up to our step 2. Add or subtract the number attached to the variable. We've got to take that number off. And here is what we're talking about. We have a 9 that's been added to the 3x. So we need to do what? Subtract 9 from both sides. Well, that's going to give us 0 there. And we can pull this 3x down because that's all that's left over there on that side. And then over here, it's just a subtraction problem. 18 minus 9 is 9. So we have left is 3x equals 9. And then we go to step 3. Step 3 says divide or multiply the number off of the variable. We have this 3 attached to the variable by multiplication. We're going to divide it off both sides. So that gets it off the x. We're just left with x equals. And over here, 9 divided by 3 is 3. So that's all I'm going to leave you with tonight. I hope you were able to follow along. If you need to go back and watch it again, or you also could check out some videos if you ever need extra help at khanacademy.com. Have a good night.